Traditionally, when it comes to gaming laptops, or well, mobile gaming devices, you would need your CPU and a dedicated GPU to get all of those fresh frames to your display. In recent years, and kind of spearheaded by AMD, to give credit where credit is due, integrated or built-in GPUs, which basically share die space with their processor brethren, have become much more powerful, sometimes even to the point where they could almost rival some low-end dedicated counterparts. Fast forward to 2025 and Team Red just launched their Ryzen Max series in the ROG Flow Z13, which basically resembles a Microsoft Surface Pro but with some real gaming grunt. And without wanting to spoil our review too much, AMD did it. At least, sort of. The Z13 itself is a very capable and super flexible gaming and creator tablet laptop hybrid, but at the same time, the 2023 Z13 with a 4070 I have right here as well, basically offers a similar experience in the real world. So you could ask yourself, what's the point? Is it efficiency? Is it cost, cooling, or maybe power draw? Well, it's kind of everything, and the definitive answer to whether it makes sense to cram such a powerful GPU with the CPU in the first place is a rather complicated one. And this is especially true since there is more to video game FPS than pure computing grunt. And this being an AMD chip, which so far has only been announced in 3 devices, well, availability might be another huge pain point. But let's get into it, we have a lot to talk about. The spec sheet for the new Flow Z13 will get your juices flowing if you know even a tiny little bit about computer hardware, since inside this puppy you get a 16-core CPU complete with 32 threads, and again, spoiler alert, that one can even rival full-fledged gaming laptops and Apple's M4 lineup, but more on that later. In addition to the CPU, you get the star of the show today, the 8060S, the GPU pod that apparently takes up most of the die space for the whole APU and can run with up to 80 watts in manual mode and up to 60 in the Z13's turbo mode, which we have used for most of our testing. When it comes to memory, it also gets quite interesting, since you can get the Flow with up to 128 gigs of RAM in select markets. And since it's an APU powering this one, all of this is shared between the CPU and the GPU, meaning you can allocate up to 96 gigs to the GPU if you want to. In our sample, we had to make do with a more modest configuration of 32 gigs, with up to 24 being available for the 8060S. And of course we tested how much of an impact that makes in games. After all, video memory is what bothered you guys the most about Nvidia's RTX 4060 and 4070, so let's see how much of a problem it really is. In addition, you get a swappable 1TB NVMe SSD and a QHD Plus display running at 180Hz with FreeSync support for tear-free gaming. Speaking about the 4070, I was able to get my hands on the 2023 Z13 in the acronym Special Edition, so we can do some proper apples-to-apples comparisons. This will only be valid for our performance testing though, since the chassis of this one is on an entirely different level and it wouldn't be fair to put the standard 2025 Z13 against it. Still, I will reference this beauty here and there since I have been using it quite intensively for the past few months. So let's maybe start with the exterior right away. To be honest, not that much has happened compared to the basic Z13 from 2 years ago. But that is not necessarily a bad thing, since this puppy still looks relatively clean for a gaming-focused device. Still, I would have loved to see some visual design cues from the acronym Special Edition, since I think it's one of the most unique PCs ever made with an almost iconic appearance. Everything feels very sturdy and Asus put quite some engineering into the Flow. The kickstand keeps everything in place no matter your desired position, and the whole tablet feels very dense and well made. The keyboard snaps in place without a problem, and overall the Z13 is a very capable and premium feeling computing companion. When it comes to I/O, we actually see quite a change compared to the original Z13. With a pair of USB-C 4s, HDMI 2.1 and a USB-A, you can connect all sorts of stuff to the Flow and integrate it into almost every setup. And that's really where this one shines. I had it connected to the Razer USB 4 dock with a 32-inch OLED and all of my peripherals on that one. And the Z13 in tablet mode basically as the brains of it all, and a second touch or pen-enabled screen, which opens up a ton of possibilities. Be it for stationary gaming on a larger display, or of course more content creator-oriented scenarios when it comes to photo or video editing. The webcam looks alright without blowing your socks off, and when it comes to your next game downloads, you get speedy and reliable wireless transfers. On the display side of things, we get almost the same experience as almost exactly 2 years ago, and the speedy IPS offers very good brightness results with solid contrast levels for this particular display tag. I kind of wish for a more eye-candy screen experience with either an OLED or mini LED option, but I would simply assume there aren't too many panels with a fitting feature set in this size. But when it comes to IPS screens, the Z13 delivers a very decent experience for gaming and work alike, with speedy response times, accurate factory calibration and additional color presets for more advanced color-critical content creation workflows. In typical Asus fashion, the detachable keyboard is very good. You get a solid amount of travel and satisfying tactility, and compared to the 2023 Z13, the touchpad is much bigger now and worked very well during our testing. Alright folks, let's talk performance, and boy, this is going to be interesting. As per usual, we did some general testing for the different power modes Asus offers with the Z13, and decided to stick with the turbo profile to see what the new AMD silicon is really capable of despite the relatively small chassis of the Flow. And well, in our CPU performance rating, the 16-core silicon basically mops the floor with everything within roughly the same 13 to 14-inch form factor and can easily keep up with even the most overpowered gaming laptops. Heck, it even closed the gap to the fastest mobile CPU in our database, the 7945HX3D. And all of that in basically a 13-inch tablet. I mean, sure, the Ryzen AI Max Plus 395, which is actually the full name for the silicon, offers 4 additional cores compared to its non-max Strix Point counterparts. But still, this doesn't solely explain the 50% uplift in performance in some of our benchmarks. While we will have a full efficiency analysis on the website, I would still like to give you a little glimpse into our results. Just keep in mind that our data here is not quite as complete as for the rest of our testing. But it's enough to say that the Ryzen Max is actually not performing too badly here as well, especially considering that it comes with quite the monster of an integrated GPU. Looking at our Cinebench 2024 results to put Team Red's new silicon into perspective, it's very middle of the road when it comes to single-core performance. However, when it comes to our multi-core numbers, it basically only has to yield to its in-house competition in the before-mentioned 17-inch behemoth, that is the Score 17, and to what Apple has on offer, with the M4 Max still being the king of the hill in our synthetic leaderboard. Thanks to the monstrous CPU, the Z13 also performs very well in our system performance tests. And it even sits atop the 2024 Plate 14, which offers one of the fastest RTX 4070s you can currently get your hands on. So our GPU tests will be very exciting. But let's have a look at the real world for now. I mentioned Photoshop before, and since Adobe's apps still rely on fast CPUs, the numbers we are getting here are pretty impressive. In combination with the fast RAM, the Z13 is a great companion for pretty much all of your photo editing needs, especially considering that you can pick up the Asus Pro Pen and use it directly on the screen should that fit your workflow. I also did some subjective testing in Resolve for our videos. In the past, I had the experience that AMD hardware was not as reliable with our video editing software of choice, and driver problems have also been quite common. My experience with the Z13 was much better, even though I had to deal with 2 crashes during my edit, which rarely happens in Resolve using NVIDIA GPUs. I can't say if this has to be improved on AMD's side or with the folks at Blackmagic, but hopefully with more people getting their hands on the new silicon, the situation will improve. But let's finally talk about the GPU part of the 395 Plus, the all-new 8060S based on AMD's RDNA 3.5 tech, complete with 40 compute units. And let's circle back to our initial question, can an integrated graphics card beat a dedicated one? Well, yes and no. If we compare the 8060S to the RTX 4070 running at a similar wattage, then you could say they are basically just as fast, as you can see in our synthetic results. Only if you would pump more power into Nvidia's upper mid-ranger like in the Plate 14, Team Green's offerings can gain a significant lead. Compared to what Apple has on offer, the new GPU lands somewhere between the M4 Pro and M4 Max in our testing using Geekbench. The synthetic lead over the 4070 in the acronym Z13 is on the other hand also pretty substantial, especially considering that both GPUs run at roughly the same wattage. Even though the Ryzen Max fused 16 CPU cores at the same time, and I'd say that is quite impressive to begin with here. By the way, if you want all the nitty-gritty details about how performance and efficiency look like for Team Red's new APU, please do me a favor and head on over to our written review. My colleague Andreas from the website did some very in-depth in-depth testing to provide you with all the data, so please make sure to check out his article. But as we all know, synthetic tests are one thing and the real world is a completely different story. So how about some actual gaming results? Well, in our gaming rating, a collection of both older and pretty recent games tested in 1080p at high or ultra settings, the Z13 with the all AMD chip is the slowest of the bunch, despite the crazy fast CPU. However, it competes with dedicated GPUs, mostly running with a lot more wattage than the Ryzen Max consumes in total, and the difference is really not that big. Since actual FPS numbers mean of course more than just percentages, we compared both Z13s directly, and for most of our testing we left the VRAM allocation at 8 gigs, so keep that in mind for now. All in all, at 1080p, the 4070 with the Intel chip is faster, even though mostly just by a little bit. However, there are some outliers, like Cyberpunk for example, being more in favor of the 8060S, as is Call of Duty, whereas F1 2024 and GTA 5 are pretty big wins for Nvidia here. QHD tells pretty much the same story, with some outliers with bigger performance deltas, whereas most games deliver mostly the same FPS experience. Going back to percentages, the difference across all the games we tested here is really just a couple of points. But keep in mind that the 395 Plus is a new chip, so we still deal with kind of early drivers and things could change within the next few months. Still, for an APU to deliver basically the same performance as a dedicated option is pretty crazy, and generally speaking, the sweet spot for the Z13 is still definitely Full HD, especially for more demanding AAA titles. One significant advantage of using an integrated GPU is that the unified system memory is available for the graphics card as video memory. It's not completely automatic and you would still have to adjust things manually should you run into problems. And Indiana Jones is a great example of such problems, since it's one of the only games that simply refuses to run or crashes when you deal with memory limitations. So while the RTX 4070 in the older Z13 can only manage Full HD with max settings, the Ryzen Max variant can still somewhat run QHD, at least without any crashes. But since the game is missing any AMD upscaling tech, you still have to dial back settings as well to get playable frame rates. So again, when it comes to our experience, it's the same, even though for different reasons, if that makes sense. But Team Green cannot only do hardware, and native rendering is only a part of the story. Upscaling and frame generation can tremendously influence your actual experience. While Nvidia definitely has the edge regarding support for these technologies, things have improved quite a bit, and most AAA titles offer support for AMD's competing FSR tech. But we have to be honest here, the situation is a bit more fragmented, with different versions for Team Red's implementations, and generally speaking, when it comes to image quality, it's still a win for Nvidia here. While we are on the subject of your actual gaming experience, I mentioned fan noise and temperatures in the beginning. So are there any improvements when going from two individual chips to a single SoC? Well, to be honest, not really. Fan noise for both the Intel Nvidia Z13 and the all AMD variant is basically the same. And temperatures are also roughly in line with what you would expect for a mobile gaming device in 2025. But don't just take my word for it, as always we recorded some more subjective samples for you so you can make up your own mind. Away from the wall though, the Z13 can tremendously improve what we have seen from the acronym Z13. Even though Asus also increased the battery capacity quite a bit, so it's not all just the new AMD silicon. With over 9 hours in our Wi-Fi test and almost 13 hours for playing a local video, the new Z13 is definitely quite a bit more flexible when running solely on battery power. And you will also get the same overall performance figures as in the Z13's aptly named performance mode, which is also not too bad for when you need to get stuff done when being out and about. Alright folks, so what are we thinking about the new 2025 Z13 with its absolute unit of a mobile chip? Well, what AMD and Asus put together here is actually quite impressive, and compared to what was formerly available in the Z13, you get quite a bit more CPU grunt and similar results for games and work. The question is that enough? And if you look at it from a cynic's perspective, you could say that it's all very impressive from a technological point of view, but when it comes to the actual gaming experience, for example, you get exactly what was already available 2 years ago. Plus, Nvidia has a few aces up its sleeves when it comes to upscaling and frame generation and general software support. And there will also be new cards quite soon, so those might change things up quite considerably once again. On a more positive note, having an APU, so the CPU and the GPU on the same chip and still getting performance numbers we have so far only seen from a dedicated solution is simply incredible and could also hint at what might come in the future. And it's an excellent fit for the Z13, which is a simply amazing device for both gamers and creators that need something that's both incredibly powerful but just as mobile, with the added flexibility of this one being basically a tablet with almost no sacrifices to usability and things like port selection, for example. But please folks, let me know what you think. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this one. Is it everything you expected or are you disappointed? Sound off in the comments below. But that should already be it for today. Thanks a ton for watching, and please leave your like and sub if you felt informed and entertained. And make sure to check out our written review for much more additional information. My name is Alex, you have been awesome, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.